Hello, I'm Annika, and I'm going to be discussing the pre-reading strategy of the Anticipation Guide. The Anticipation Guide reading strategy for me, I am going to implement it in a high school social studies classroom. Um, and for this particular example, we're going to be using a Christian thought and practice example for historical purposes. So to start off, I'm just going to explain a little bit about the Anticipation Guide. It is used before reading to activate students' prior knowledge. It's used to prepare them to critical think and to get responses from them about the reading that they will be doing. This challenges and supports their preconceived ideas about the key concepts in the text. It builds curiosity, and it's something that they can revisit after their reading to evaluate how well students understood the material, corrected misconceptions, and answered any questions that they had about the anticipation guides. There are some positives and negatives to using the anticipation guide. I'll start with the negatives. Sometimes it might seem too simple for some students, and they just want to dive into the reading. They don't want to start with any of the questions or any of that sort. And then on the positives, this actually does prepare students without overwhelming them. It sets a purpose. It gives them some insight to what they're going to be learning about before they actually perform the reading. And then I will also be showing you how we create an anticipation guide. So as you can see behind me, there is an example. So we're using the book Christian Thought and Practice, and we're going to be reading Chapter 3, titled Tradition, Reason, and Experience as Foundations of Christian Theology, as you can see. So on the board behind me is a list of questions. Now, when you're actually making an anticipation guide, you're probably going to use more questions in this and even add a variety of questions. I've seen some with asking yes and no's, opinions, or just check boxes. And these ones are open-ended just to give you an idea of some other variety. So you can go ahead and read those, take a moment. What challenges faith community? What do Christians reference in the face of conflict, such as science and other religions that question Christian belief? Can you explain the relationship between science and religion? Now, because it's an anticipation guide, these are questions that students should be able to answer or at least take a hack at without having to actually read the chapter. So that was my example. Now, when you create an anticipation guide, how do you know what exactly you're going to be putting in it? Well, you're going to be identifying the major concepts, vocabulary, and ideas presented in the reading that will allow you to direct students to where they're exactly going in the reading and what you aim to discuss after the reading. You want to consider the beliefs that students have, so you want to ask questions about things that you know that they're thinking about, or maybe there's some obvious misconceptions that you want to clear up or ask students about in the pre-reading. And then obviously you want to require students to have a response in your anticipation guide. So those are just things to consider while you are creating this. So overall, the full usage of the anticipation guide requires you to obviously perform it before the actual reading, to provide students with kind of an idea of what they're going to be doing and some questions that help them lead them into the right direction. You want to remind your students that you will be discussing this after the reading, because how else do you apply these questions than to revisit them after you read so that you can have a more clear idea and your questions can be answered. And then obviously you're going to read the text itself, maybe make some notes, some highlights, and then you're going to have a class discussion. And that is exactly how the anticipation guide works. Thank you.